Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to the video. It's another paid request, this time for John. Thank you so much for that, man. And for those interested in requesting any type of videos, topic, reaction, verses, commentary, re-review, or review, tier list, whatever it may be, feel free to send it, either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. And this is a review he wanted me to do of a 5-minute stop-motion short film that Tim Burton did. Just for understand, Tim Burton was working actually with Disney, animated stuff of that nature, and some people saw potential in this guy and say, well, his ideas might be not suited for Disney. Although, funny enough, later he would do Alice in Wonderland and other stuff for Disney. But let's give him a shot. Hey, here's $60,000. There's this poem you made. Make into a stop-motion short film. He did. And he was able to get one of his idols, Vincent Price, to narrate it. And that was great to have Vincent Price. And from what I understand after this, because this came out in 1982, they became friends. And that's how he was able to get Vincent Price into Edward Scissorhands, which became Mr. Price's, I think, his last film. But, Vincent Price, great actor, done the Edgar Allan Poe movies, House of Wax. I always remember him in the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo, being the voice of Vincent Van Gogh. And of course, his voice in the Thriller Michael Jackson music video. The Thriller. But great addition to have Vincent Price narrate this. I guess it makes sense. It's about a kid named Vincent who looks a lot like Tim Burton. And the character's supposed to be a 7-year-old. But say he looks a lot like Tim Burton, but he imagines wanting to be Vincent Price. And it's a 7-year-old kid, beautiful stop-motion animation, done in black and white, where you could really see Tim Burton's talent, even back then, and very unique visuals, and about this kid that imagines being a mad scientist, and it'll go from reality to fantasy. So he'll imagine all this stuff, and then in a smooth transition, he's back to normal kid mode, and there's his aunt, and throughout the whole thing, Vincent Price narrating, well, this kid loves his aunt and all this stuff, but sometimes he imagines dipping his aunt in wax. So go from nice to fantasy. Of course, that's a nod to House of Wax with Vincent Price. Or the Edgar Allan Poe, and was it Eleanor, whoever, and his wife, and digging his wife's grave as nighttime, but then smooth transition to daytime. He's actually digging his mom's flower bed, and he realizes, and even the way Vincent looks from the mad scientist look to back when just being a regular kid. Really well done stop motion animation being utilized. I'm a sucker for the aesthetics of stop motion. And the mom just keep telling the kid, listen, these games you play, they're all in your head. You're 7 years old. You're not tormented artist. And this, again, it's only 5 minutes long. So, there's not a whole lot to describe. But it's nice to see all the unique aesthetics and visuals that Tim Burton created. Whether it be uses of, in a way, shadows, or like this bit where he's going to turn his dog into a zombie, and there's a dog with all these electrodes coming out on top of its head. And again, these transitions from fantasy to reality, from who he wants to be to who he really is. And then also, if this is the poem Tim Burton wrote, more than likely is a reflection of him. I mean, he calls his idol is Vincent Price. He wants to be Vincent Price. It looks like Tim Burton himself. I think this delves to the mind of Tim Burton, where as Kevin Smith, making fun of him. Oh, I'm an artist, I'm goth, and this and that. Maybe there's some truth to that, where Tim Burton maybe thought of himself as a quirky, weird kid, into things that weren't typical, and have this almost tortured artist motif in his head, even from when he was a young kid, whether from his background or whether just because. And that helped influence him in his directing style and visuals, especially early in his career, Beetlejuice, and even stuff you put in Batman Returns, Edward Scissorhands. So maybe as a kid he has these type of thoughts, and outsider, I didn't really fit in quality to him, and this is his way of expressing that. I still feel like an outsider and wanted to believe in these fantasies while he didn't really fit in reality. Even then, by the end of the short, he's limp and lifeless on the floor. Sorry, I guess maybe the ending road of the tragic haunted artist. And I do like the piece of the Raven that Vincent Price says at the end. Vincent Price just had the right voice, the perfect voice for this kind of stuff. And my soul from out that shadow that lies floating on the floor shall be lifted nevermore. And I read that apparently Vincent Price was very honored, and when he saw it, he was very impressed and gratified. Did you tell me Vincent Price probably was a big fan of Edgar Allan Poe? Probably one of the reasons he did all those movies in the paycheck, but did all those movies back to the day. And I see Tim Burton's talent. There's definitely a big predecessor to Nightmare Before Christmas, which I know Tim Burton technically didn't direct, but had a big influence on. In fact, like a minute in like the corner, like this corner, it looked like someone that looked like Jack. Because it looked like a skeleton theme, but then I think I saw like eyes kind of drip down out of the sockets. So not quite, but it looked like a early motif for Jack Skellington. But it's one of those things, you watch this and you go, yep, Nightmare Before Christmas makes a lot more sense. Tim Burton's involvement with that. So, if you're Tim Burton or Vincent Price fan, it's definitely worth a watch. It's on YouTube. Apparently it was on the, speaking of that, collector's edition DVDs of Nightmare Before Christmas. I don't know if they're on the Blu-rays, but I know they were on the collector edition DVDs. I think there was also another DVD about short films. I forget the title of it. I don't know if they're on the Blu-rays, but it might be one of those things that just was on the collector. It's on YouTube anyway, so it don't matter. You can watch it on YouTube. But yeah, it was nice. It was nice to look at. Nice predecessor to what would come forward in Nightmare Before Christmas. Vincent Price, may rest in peace. Very talented guy. Had one of the best voices out there for this kind of stuff. And like I said, fun stop motion treat for people like me who are a fan of that style. So, oh, I'm sorry, I can't do that because I've been told this is a racist symbol to give the OK symbol. Yes, I did this one time, which I thought was like Axel Foley did in Beverly Hills Cop. This. But no, apparently this is a racist symbol, and if I do the OK, it's a, what did the guy call me? I'm a white supremacist because I did the OK symbol. So does that mean Axel Foley at Beverly Hills Cop 1, who did that, is he a white supremacist? Is that like Dave Chappelle, that skit on the Chappelle Show, where he's the blind guy but he's the racist? So I'll do this, yeah. So, nice job. Anyway, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you later.